Just checking that I'm live because my laptop tends to be like super slow, so I'm just gonna wait a couple of seconds until I get the confirmation that I'm live. All right, ladies. Hello, everybody. As you join in, let me know where you're joining from. Today, I just really want to take things down and be super chill. Let me know where you tune in from. Say hi, don't be shy, and let's continue the work. Um, I tend to be like hyperactive in my lives, but this one I really wanted to show up as I promised, and I'm just gonna take things really down and chill. So I don't know about you, but I'm like 100% into meditations. That's like my thing. And I used to record meditation back in the days where I had my podcast, which was like about um, almost a full year ago. I had a podcast that was very successful and totally not aligned with what I'm doing right now, but I was adding meditations because it's so important. And with the work that we're gonna do today, meditation is like 100% needed. So let's dive into this. That's just gonna be a slow one. I want to put music that aligns with that because this one doesn't really. So that's gonna put me in the mood. I don't know if you can hear it, but we're gonna go into this right now. So take a deep breath, relax all of your muscles. We want to be in a deep, relaxed state today because we're gonna be going like really deep into our subconscious, and we're gonna be like journaling and stuff like that. So relax your shoulders wherever you feel like you have tension. Sometimes it's in the jaw. We tend like to, have our teeth clenched together. Most of the time it's on the shoulders, on the neck. Just really relaxed. Keep relaxing. Give yourself the time of the day today, like just right now. This life is not gonna last a long time. So we want to do work that is deep and effective. So deep, quickly, and effective, right? So relax yourself. Take a deep breath. Hold it for 2 seconds and then let it go. So as we are going in today, we're gonna be diving very deep into self-love. So today's lesson is a mix between AffirmAction part 2 and the self-love for success part 2, and then the next and the last one part that I'm gonna do is gonna be to finish beautifully together. So we're talking about AffirmAction, so taking aligned actions with your affirmations for the new year. So two things that I want to tackle today: the part on affirm action, and then the part on the self-love for success. So the affirmation part that we are going to talk about today is habits. So we're talking about taking aligned actions with your affirmations. So this year, this January, as you declare your intentions for the year or your resolutions, no matter whatever you want to call them, as you declare your intentions, as you choose and plan forward, we're already on the January 8th. If you haven't done a vision board party yet or vision board yet for like this year or anything like that, take your time. But usually I would think that you already had done it. If you haven't, don't feel like you are left behind. It doesn't matter. You can still do it at any point throughout the year, because I keep saying changing your life for the better is a decision that you can make literally every day of the year. And once you have taken it, it's a decision that you keep taking every single day. It's a decision, right? It's a lifestyle. You decide how you want to lead your life. So as you join in, let me know, say hi. If you're watching the replay, just let me know when you're going to be watching the replay, where you're watching it from. So what we want to be doing today as a continuity from the work from the last part. If you haven't watched it, I really strongly advise you to watch it. And then if you haven't watched the part one for Dress for Success, a self-love for success, go ahead and dive into it after this live. I share a whole lot of goodness on how to build strong self-love foundations for your own success in different areas of your life. So affirm action part 2. What we want to do today is journal. I wanted to show you basically journaling, how serious I am with journaling. This was my journal from 2019, right here. This was my journal for 2020, right here. I'm trying to put it right there so you can see it. And this one right here is gonna be this year. I haven't decorated it here yet. But what I do is that I use one notebook every year, and I want to clearly separate the years. This is how I do it. You don't have to do it this way. You can just take like a notebook and keep on writing until you finish the pages and go to the next one. I like to clearly separate things. And one more good things about journaling is that you may take the time to do the inner work, to read books, to think through your mind and your subconscious, and to do really the work. But what's really interesting is that when you are journaling these thoughts, like literally you have a record for them. So that's like if you are as I mentioned the last part, I know that there are people who don't journal because they are afraid that people would find them out, find a journal and read through. That is something that you can totally protect yourself in two ways: hide it or burn the papers. But really, I strongly encourage to keep track, because basically you can just go back in time and understand where you were at in your mindset at that moment. How did you feel? What was in your mind? And then you can just understand how far you have grown from that specific moment in your life. So like right now I'm holding 2019, right? So it's really interesting whenever I go through the pages and be like, oh my god, so this is what I was working on, and am I still working on that right now, or have I grown out of this, right? So this is why it's really, really interesting, especially when you like separate them. So the work that we're going to do today is very simple. I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to ask you to write it down and journal upon this, because this is really important. We are talking about affirmations, right? So when it comes to, sorry, just putting the music down. I don't know if you can hear me. Just talking about the affirmations and the actions. So when it comes to doing your affirmations, for example, it's always a good thing to work on that on a daily basis, like really be thorough with that, right? One thing that I have started doing recently, and it has completely changed me, I have to say, in a very positive way, is that I use my, how do you call that, my reminders on my phone. So every day I have the reminders that come up with affirmations or manifestations. So these are like small prayers that I pray for, or that I want to manifest. So things that I want to change, right? What's important around that, and really, really useful, in how I've seen that has been changing like literally throughout the days, right? Since I started to do this, is that I am consistent, and consistency is so important, because you may set yourself goals and be like, oh, I'm gonna do it, but if it's not scheduled, if it's not consistently happening on a daily basis, or every now and then, like regularly, and it's scheduled, and you know you're supposed to do it, and you will take the time to do this stuff, then you will just you're not setting yourself up for success. You really are setting yourself up for failure. So do use the reminders. You can also schedule them in your schedule and have like a reminder right before. So these two tools really work really well. I'm not sure about Androids, but I'm doing this for my iPhone, and it really works. So that right there is like a life hack that has really been paying itself like so far, and I'm like, how the hell haven't I thought about it before? Remember to drink water, ladies. Stay hydrated. So we are talking about aligned actions. So when we are talking about aligned actions and affirmations, we're talking about habits, right? And so I kind of like started talking about that, diving it in the last part, but today I really want to give you one more insight, that if you were not aware, it takes an average of 21 to 28 days to implement a habit. And what most resolutions intentions are in the beginning of every year for most of people is to have habits, right? Because we know that success is comes from having healthy habits, right? Doing something positive every day, or every whatever days, right? And so growing a habit takes time, and it takes at least 21 days for your brain and your subconscious brain to inhabit this and embody it as a default programming, like it's something that you do every day. Like it just, you don't have to fight against it anymore. It's just embedded in you, in your mind, and you just do it, right? So as you are going through the new year, I know that a lot of, for a while I used to have like so many so many new resolutions in every aspect of my life, and I was expecting to completely change my lifestyle all of a sudden, and then I would fall off like gradually until I would stop doing all of them together. So that is exactly what we want to avoid. So that's why scheduling them is so helpful. But then understanding that you have to be compassionate with yourself, that it takes at least 21 consecutive days. So that means that whenever you start new, whenever you start fresh on something, if you fail to show up and do that thing for one day, then the counter goes back to zero. You have to start over, right? So it's the consistency and the grit to starting over, and to keep going on in track every single day until you finished at least 21 days, for you to have passed the hardest part of changing, right? So this is what we want to be doing, is setting the right intention and setting the right expectations when it comes to aligning your actions, your new habit, with your affirmations. So patience, self-love, a lot of self-love, and I'm gonna be diving into it like that's my next point. So a lot of a lot of self-love, a lot of patience, and a lot of forgiveness, right? So understanding that, okay, I'm not perfect, I'm trying my best. And maybe you want to change this trying, you want to be saying, okay, I'm not perfect, I am doing my best, right? Because trying is, you can only try, and if you fail, well, you tried. It's different that I'm doing it, I'm determined to make that happen for real for me, right? If you have any questions, whether you're watching live or replay, just let me know, right? Around any points that I have spoken about. So the next thing that we want to be doing, yay, is the self-love for success. And so I'm talking mainly in the things that I do to people who really have a deep deficiency of self-love, I'm gonna put it this way, because this is where I started from. Literally, this is where I started from. And in my quest of understanding myself, I researched a lot of things. I'm very, very keen on psychology. I am an NLP practitioner, so neural language programming. I love everything that concerns not only mindset but psychology, like literally the science of psychology, to understand the brain. I genuinely believe that the brain is the most amazing organ that we have, and understanding it has so much power in for us and for the people around us, right? So when you understand the principles, some really important principles of psychology, then you understand yourself and you understand others better, and then you know how to navigate in your life to get the things that you want to get, right? So uh, the next thing that we want to be doing is journaling on one thing, and that is something that I journaled on. That was literally the 2020 one. Um, and that's a simple question, but so powerful. So with that, no further ado, it's what would I do? You can journal that and ask yourself, what would I do? What will I really do? Right? What would I do if I really, genuinely, deeply loved myself? So, what would I do if I really, genuinely, deeply loved myself? You write this down and you start making a list of it. So it really is putting your mind and yourself into a perspective of things where everything is possible. There is nothing stopping you from getting what you would do if you really genuinely deeply love yourself. So nothing is an obstacle. It's like, just journal on that way. Like, I challenge you to really push the boundaries and be like, okay, I am in the space in my mind right now. What would I do if money was not a problem, if the people around me were not a problem? I just really put that as problem, like not problem, but really like as an obstacle, right? A barrier, right? Because sometimes money is a barrier, the people around us are a barrier, so it's more like that way that I'm saying problem, right? Maybe I should not use the problem. So if nothing would stop you to do what you really want to do, if you really I'm reading down, right? So because this is for my notes again. So what would you do if you really genuinely deeply loved yourself and that nothing would stop you from doing those things? So I can share with you what came up for me when I wrote that down, because I was like, ooh, that's a good question, right? So I was in my meditation work and this came up. So when I faced that, I was like, oh, wow, okay. So as codependent, right, someone who was deeply missing a lot of self-love and a lot of self-worth, right? I did the right work, really, and this is what I'm sharing with you. And what I want to talk about, like, really quickly, is that as codependent, for me that would be like recovered codependent. If you are just facing yourself where you have a tendency to people please a little too much, or way too much, or excessively too much, and that you very often are the last person on your list of self-care or anything, right? You give everything to others, like literally you give everything you've got to others, to only receive a very small portion of what you give to others. And the only thing is that you keep searching for that person who will love you just as much as you know how to love, because you know that your love is so powerful, and you know you're pleasing the people around you when you are giving all the things that makes you feel good because you're giving love, right? It always feels good when you give love, especially when it's like well received. But then you're like, oh, if only I knew someone who would love me the same way, right? So we keep searching for that person left and right, and we actually pretty much never find that person, because truth is, that person is you. That person is you. You are the only person who can love you as much as you love others, and only you can be the judge of that. Only when you actually start loving yourself and do this exact same work. So what would I do if I really genuinely deeply loved myself? For me, what came up, I would, the first thing is like I would sleep when I needed to. So I'm somebody who's always needed to sleep a lot, and that's just the way I am. And at least 10 hours a night, and sometimes because life happens, 10 hours a night can be a little too much for the demands around me. But uh, that is where I need to consciously put myself first and be like, too much? No. How is this too much? I need it. So it's enough. It's what I need, and this is good enough for me. It's never too much, right? When you do this work, you might find yourself with back thoughts saying exactly that to you. Wow, this is too much. No, this is too much. Or no, this is too much. Just put those aside for a little bit, right? So the second thing that came up is I would eat really well and cook amazing foods and take my supplements and drink water. Right here. I promise you, before I wrote this stuff down, I was not like, I would go entire days without drinking water. I would drink anything else that is not good for me, but I would not drink water. And even though I needed, I would be like, oh, okay, just let me finish this, and then I will go. And I would pretty much never go at the end, because that thing that was keeping me would always keep me. And I was just giving my entire self and complete everything to that thing, and just forget about me, right? So self-abandonment is something that's very well known from codependence, and that's like a trait, like really, that's recurring. um, the next thing, I would get regular massages. So I love massages, and when I say that, is like I would get regular massages. It's like literally go to the spa and get yourself a massage, right? So then the next thing is I would practice yoga and Tai Chi daily. So I never experienced in my life peace, or like a really, how can I say that, a distressing activity than yoga and Tai Chi. Like Tai Chi literally makes me cry because I feel like all the tension going down, like I really really feel it, right? So I don't know about you, whatever works, that can be either that, which I would recommend, but that can be something else, that can be actually anything else that really distresses you and really grounds you, right? Because my mind goes everywhere, and it's really important, it's really hard for me even sometimes to just meditate. It's really difficult because my mind literally always is overworking. I am a multi passionate woman. I have a business, and yeah, I have a husband, I have a family, and there's just a lot of things on me, in my mind all the time. And I'm creative by nature, like I'm extremely creative by nature. And I love writing, I love dancing, like I love everything that's creative. I I'm into fashion, right? So all the things, the product that I sell and that I co-create with my factories and stuff like that, like I need to be creative, right? So it's always thinking forward and go ahead and try to shut down the creative mind. So why do I love yoga and Tai Chi so much? uh, I discovered Tai Chi at the gym, and it was body flow, right? So the class was called body flow, and literally I love this one so much. Body flow is like literally a mix of yoga, Pilates, and Tai Chi, and I love it so much because if I'm not focused on what I do and on my breathing, I cannot finish the practice. First of all, I cannot complete the movement, and I would literally fall down, like my face off the floor. So it's like literally putting myself in a situation where it's shut down your brain or you fall off your face, like you really literally fall your face off on the floor, and that works. Putting myself in those situations, working out in general, running and stuff like that. But if I'm running, like no matter what, I would still be thinking about stuff that I don't want to be thinking of at that moment, and so on and so forth. And so for me, a mix of yoga and Tai Chi is the thing that really brings all the stresses down. And this is literally a whole lot of things in my list. When I'm looking at it right now, a whole lot of things in my list are about relaxing. If I truly, genuinely, deeply loved myself, I would give myself that relaxing amount of time, that self-care that I need, because next to this, whenever I'm in flow and I'm working, I'm a Capricorn. So if you don't know about Capricorns, we are like born to work, like literally we live to work. And that's like, it's funny. I'm laughing now because like when I think about it, I'm like, this is ridiculous, because I'm always saying around, you're not on earth to work. Like you don't work to, you don't live to work, you work to live. And so you should be, having the right kind of like balance. But I have left that work balance idea behind me a whole long time ago. So let me go back through my list just to think. Yeah, one thing that came up is I would speak to God daily, all day long. So at different time of the day. And so that's interesting, because I want to just expand on that thought. Daily, all day long, at whatever time. Because growing up and for a very long time in my mind, praying, talking to God would only need to be done when praying and when you really need something, like right now, like really need something. And it's like, when I was praying for a long time, I was just praying to worship God, and I would not ask. Even though I wanted to ask for things, I would not ask, because I was like, I'm not asking for anything, I'm just coming up here to worship you, like literally, and stuff like that. And I realized how that was deeply coming from a codependent standpoint, like literally, because that when you're codependent, you're like, I'm not asking for too much, I'm just asking for this, right? And that's not the way to do it. This is not the way that God is. This is not God, right? God is abundant, and all the things that you may ask from God takes nothing from him. It takes nothing from him to give you what you need. Like, no matter crazy right now your ideas may be, no matter how crazy your desires may feel, or people around you telling you it's not possible, or you may not have it, or like, how dare you asking for this stuff, or that's too much, right? That's something that comes up very regularly for me around me, is like, this is too much. And I'm like, no, it's not too much for me, it's not too much for God. So now I'm in that abundant mindset, but hasn't been like that forever, like always. I wasn't born with that, definitely not. So that is something like a concept, like literally that came up, and it's like I would talk to God and ask all the time my desires, because I believe that my desires are deeply engraved like they are given in my heart from God Himself, so I can ask Him anything that I want and keep the relationship going. And as He gives me, I am grateful, and the more I'm grateful, the more I ask, the more He gives. And it's so like it's the flow of abundance in my life, and asking for things about me, teach me, guide me to learn myself, to love myself more, guide me to understand my mind and my brain more, guide me to understand what keeps me small and grounded in the miserable mindset that I have sometimes. Ground me, guide me, let me know, let me see. I'm willing to see things differently. I'm willing to do things differently. Guide me, let me know, right? And asking daily and all day long, as no matter how big or small, I'm outside and I'm looking for a place to park, the parking lot seems full, and I'm like kind of in a hurry, or I don't wanna struggle going around too much, and I'm like, God, give me a space, give me a space, give me a space. Next thing you know, a space comes up, somebody pull out with their car, and I'm like, yay, I'm the next one. So it really is literally about the smallest things in the now, like literally earlier I was in my bath, and I was having like kind of like my bathing ritual to let go of things and negative energy, and I was like, God, give me this. I asked for something very specific, and literally like 2-3 minutes later I turned around my phone and I had a notification to tell me that I had it. So woo. Ask and you may receive, and ask abundantly always. So it's like the idea of stacking up your ask. The more you ask, the more chances you have to receive what you want, and the more you are like raising your energy to receive it. So what would I do if I really and genuinely deeply loved myself, and that there, giving myself the time to speak to God and ask for things, and giving me myself the things that I need to be in that energy of I love myself, right? Not from a place of I'm better than others. That has nothing to do with that, because believe me, if you have been falling into the excessive people pleasing trap, that is something, right? It's difficult. It still is different of than being codependent. Codependency is like very very deep. It's like, how do they call that? They call it I'm trying to refine the words. Give me a moment. It's a personality disorder, right? So this is a real condition, and I'm really ever talking about whatever I'm talking to people who have like that condition-ish. I don't like to say this because you are not in the mindset of victimhood, right? When you are owning the things that you need help with, you are empowering yourself, because you are putting yourself in a perspective where you actually are taking the right step to recover. So that's what I'm saying, that you would hear me saying that I'm a recovered or recovering codependency, because it really takes time, right? I've been like that my entire life. I don't expect to be like, oh hey, out of a sudden I'm recovered, right? So I know that I've done an amazing and tremendously deep amount of work to be saying that I'm a recovered codependent. Now, things always creep back in, always, because these are like, how can I say? The mind always goes back. You also have like the temptations of the devil, right? For all of us who are religious people, or just have like a relationship with God, call it whatever. But I always think that these are destructive thoughts that come straight from the enemy, the devil, like straight away. So always here to tempt you back, and that's why you always have to be like, when you have that no, I'm not dealing with this, this is where you are, you know that you have recovered. No matter how hard sometimes it can be, but when you have that strength and that reflex of protecting yourself against these thoughts, against all of these things, patterns, people, this is where you can consider yourself as recovered. But that there is a reflex that you need to teach yourself. Um, and so, yeah, what else? Oh yeah, I would create a gorgeous nest and make it my favorite place to be. So, I love my home. I know I should be taking care of it a little bit more. And so, that definitely is something that I've already started doing and stuff like that. So, all the things that I'm talking about are things that definitely have been working for me. I've seen results, and so believe me when I say that if I did it, you can do it too, right? So we spoke about affirm action today, and how long it takes to embody a habit, and that being, you know, um, being self-forgiven, so forgiving, being patient is so important in order for this to work. And then we talked about self-love for success. And so let me know if that was helpful. Leave me your questions, and I will be scheduling the next call. And if you have a, what did I want to say? Yay! Let me know if you liked this video, the previous videos. Again, homework on the top of this question. What would I know? What would I do if I really love myself? Go back, watch the first video of affirm action. Go back and watch the video of self-love for success, and let me know if you've enjoyed this, because I am preparing something very, very special for you ladies. And that's like, if you want to keep doing this work with me, I'll be so happy to do that with you. And yay, I will let you know way more about that on the next call, and how you can keep on doing this stuff, this work, this very deep and important work with me. And I thank you for watching until right now. You have a blessed day.